In this video, we're going to talk about the AND function, and then in another video, we'll talk about the OR function, and then in another video, we'll do how we actually can use them in conjunction with each other, both ANDs and ORs. When we look at an AND function, its syntax is equal AND, open parenthesis, and then it has the logic test. And in order for this to return the value true, all of these have to be met. So for example, in this row for Larry, in order for this to be ready, we're going to do 3 versions. Each one of these have to be yes, or whatever we put down as our value. So since all of these have to be yes, this would come across as false. So in cell F8, we're going to type in equal AND, and you can see that we just have multiple logical tests. That's all it's going to do. And then it's going to return true or false depending on whether or not all of the logical tests come up as true. So the first one is going to be B8 equals yes, comma, C8 equals yes. So in order to be ready for this camping trip, all of these have to be met, comma. Let's see, D8 equals yes. And finally, E8 equals yes. Upper and lowercase doesn't matter what you're putting in for the logical test and or what you're putting in the box. It recognizes a capital Y and a lowercase y as the same letter. And then we'll close this parenthesis and we'll hit enter. And it's returned false. So let's just pull that down. And the only one that is actually true is a record for Shemp and the record for Ralph. Everything else is false because there are some no's. So Larry comes out and he says, "Hey, I got my tent. All right, well, I'll just change that to Y." And I hit enter and it changes to true. But I'm going to put that back. So now for the second option, we're still going to use this AND, but we're going to incorporate an if function with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I'm going to double click this, and I'm just going to copy the AND part. Because why do I want to keep retyping that? And I'm going to hit copy, so Control C on my keyboard, and then I'm going to hit escape. And then I'm going to come over here to G8, and I'm just going to hit paste. And what you're going to notice, let me just do that, by doing that copy, hitting escape to get out of it, and then going to our next cell, it's not considered using the autofill. So it did not change any of my columns. They're still B8, C8, D8, and E8. Why type all that? So now I'm going to come at the beginning, and I want to type in equal if, because I want to then put something better than yes, actually true or false. So then I'll go to the end, and then for true, we can say, we have it ready, so we can say yes. For false, no. Oops, let's get rid of the, maybe we do want it all capitals. And then we can close that out. So it's kind of nice when you're doing the same function or the same entry. Just select it in either the formula bar, or if you double click the entry, you can do it here. So I just highlighted this. I could have also typed in I could have highlighted the equal as well. So let's just hit enter. And this is probably a little better. I think it's a little better than using false and true, or true and false. A third option is we can use symbols. So I have an up symbol and a down symbol. And those I just found by doing insert symbol, and I found those triangles, and I just inserted those in different different cells. And then what I'm going to do is we'll refer to those cells when we create our if statement. So we're going to come over here, and to save time, I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to hit copy. And then I'm escaping it. And then I'm coming over here to H, and I'm going to paste it. So since it was a full function, it entered it because I had the equal sign. So I am going to highlight yes, and we're going to use this up arrow. So I'll do F4, make it absolute, and then I'm going to highlight no, and I'm going to use J4, I'm going to make that absolute. And if I hit enter, you'll see that it has an up or down arrow. So if I go to the Insert tab and I do symbols, let me just bring this into the screen. Any of these symbols I can use. Now actually I don't want to put it where I am, so I'm going to just click on this cell. Oh, I got to hit cancel here. So I'll just put it here. I don't want to replace that. So let me go back to symbols, and I'll bring that in. So you could do any of these images. You can change the fonts, you can use Arial or whatnot. So once I found what I wanted, there's some eyeballs and all sorts of different things. And I say that's the infinity sign. I'm sorry, it looks like eyeballs. So once you find what you want, let's look through here. And it does take a little bit of time to find them. I'm going to choose the font Arial so that I know that. Oh, you could also go down and choose Wingdings. And let's say we want to use the up arrow, and then I will close, and I'll come back over here, and I'll do my symbol, and I'll use down arrow instead of the triangles. So then I could substitute, instead of using the arrows, I could select I4. And this is for yes, so I'll just click that, make it absolute. And then instead of using J4, that's for no, false, I can choose the down arrow and make it absolute. And for some reason, oh, I know why that's. The problem is it's not finding the Wingding, so you have to go home and bring in that font. You gotta select that font. That's what's nice about using like Arial or whatever font you're using, and find that triangle that looks a little better. But if you want a special symbol, so I'm gonna go down to Wingdings, and that puts in those images for you. And if you wanted to emphasize a color, you could change a color, but that would change it no matter what. If I go back here to Y, it's now a red up arrow, so we may not want that. Okay, so that is the first example of AND. So let's go to the next example, and this is going to incorporate using an if statement and then giving it a level of job level. So they have to be employed with the company more than 5 years and have annual sales of greater than 10,000. So the and means both of these have to be met. So we're going to do this as an if statement, so that if this is met, meaning if this is true, then they get a job level of 1. If this is not true, then they get a job level of 2. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to type in equal if, and now I need to build my logic test. So the logic test is greater than 5 years, so that is D8 greater than, more than 5 years, not more than or 5 and above, it just says more. But I need to have my, oops, I goofed up there. I forgot the very important and. Because if I just left it with just greater than 5, I would not have had that option for the second one. Even if I use the nested if statements, I want both of these to be met, not just one. So that's the first logic test. You can see that right here in the breadcrumbs. So we'll hit the comma. And now the second logic test, that's where sales are greater than 10,000. So I click on sales, which is C8, and greater than 10,000. I don't have to worry about absolutes because I want the row numbers to change as I copy these down. So that's the and. I'm going to hit the backspace over my parenthesis. So you'll notice that until I close this and function, you'll notice it's still expecting other ands. I mean, I could do another type of logic statement, but I don't have really anything else that would make sense. So once I hit the close parenthesis, watch what happens with this tooltip here, our breadcrumbs. I'm going to hit the close parenthesis, and you'll see that it turns it back to the original function. So this is how you can find where you are, especially when you are nesting functions. When we were nesting if functions, it did the same thing. It just started over with the logic test. So we're still at the logic test because that's what the and is doing. So now if we hit comma, now we're on value if it's true. So this is true. We just want to display a 1. Otherwise, for all other situations, we will display a 2. And then we'll close our parenthesis and hit enter. And so then this person is a job level 2. And if I bring it down, so we notice that this one has sales greater than 10,000 and has been employed more than 9 years. So yep, that worked. This one, sales were greater than 10,000, but not been employed more than 5 years. So that's a level 2. Shemp, $12,000. Yep, that's bigger than 10,000 and greater than 12 years. One other example here. Yes, Joe has been with the company more than 5 years, but has less than 10,000. So the and has both criteria need to be met. So the D8 greater than 5, that's the years employed, that's this column here. And then C8 greater than 10,000 are the sales. And as long as both of those have been met, then this person, Larry, will be a level 1. Otherwise, be a level 2. So that 2 examples of working with and.